Part 2. Applying Individualism to the Present World. The Operating Methods of the Populace. Quote, "The liberty of a democracy is not safe if the people tolerate the growth of a private power to the point where it becomes stronger than the democratic state itself. That, in essence, is fascism, ownership of the government by an individual, by a group, or any other controlling private power." End quote. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The individualists believe that simplicity in a system is more efficient, more powerful, and more difficult to corrupt, complexity being a proportionate veil for corruption. All governments possess complexity to varying degrees. The individualistic populace minimizes this to an extreme extent. Unlike modern governments, which have endless departments, divisions, and subdivisions, mimicking only chaos and nonsense, two elements that do not exist in the healthy human psyche, individualism has consolidated and refined its system into four major heads, each representing a major function of the human consciousness: the desire, the intellect, the memory, and the will, seated respectfully in the body, mind, spirit, and soul. They are attributed as such to make them more natural, easily remembered, and clearly understood by each member of the Union. They remind the people of the harmonic reflection of individualism, that is, that the greater body of the Union is an exact reflection of its composite parts, which are all of the people, and that it functions in much the same way. As it has always been, but lately forgotten, the employer of these new departments is the people, not the president. Their role is to strictly represent the people and govern the president, not vice versa. These departments take priority to listen and react to the people, and to the presidency second, if at all. In individualism, the permanent ruler will be the people, all of them. They have become the executive branch. Ideally, the position of the president becomes obsolete, as it merely exists similar to, but even less so, to what it is now, merely a figurehead, with no real power unto itself. If it remains, it simply communicates to the group the collective will, but instead of it being the collective will of the corporations, such as the present day, it will be the collective will of the people. These departments in no way represent authority. They are simply collective organizing forces of the populace mind and will into a single refined force of a specific nature, a constructive force, not a controlling force. They act upon items only by direction of the populace as a whole, for they have no powers in themselves. These four departments are titled: 1. The Greater Eye of the Populace, the GEP; 2. The Hall of Vital Records, the HVR; 3. The Library of Accredited Free Knowledge and Instruction, LAFKI, LAFKI; 4. The Populous Homestead Management Center, PHMC. There are 15 executive departments in the executive branch of the present U.S. government. They are assimilated into the refined individualist system in varying degrees. Their names are: 1. The Department of Agriculture; 2. The Department of Commerce; 3. The Department of Defense; 4. The Department of Education; 5. The Department of Energy; 6. The Department of Health and Human Services; 7. The Department of Homeland Security; 8. The Department of Housing and Urban Development; 9. Department of Justice; 10. The Department of Labor; 11. The Department of State; 12. The Department of the Interior; 13. The Department of the Treasury; 14. The Department of Transportation; 15. The Department of Veteran Affairs. With the assimilation of each department comes a disbanding of a near countless group of administrations, agencies, authorities, boards, bureaus, centers, commissions, committees, divisions, and officers, amongst other names given to these wasteful and impotent vacuums to taxpayer money. Each subdivision shall be examined and given clear reason as to its disbandment. Therefore, certain subdivisions will require extensive detail to make clear the reason of the disband and shed light onto often obscured points. Be it known that these suggested changes and new checks and balances proposed are to maintain the Constitution of the United States. Any proposed disbandment is deemed necessary to revert the Union back to constitutionality. In the coming sections which detail the individualistic departments, it will be discussed whether they maintain, disband, or assimilate certain activities of the old world. The implications of these three phases are as follows: maintained, generally assimilated into the individualistic system with little alteration; disbanded, found to be either irreparable, obsolete, wasteful, corrupt, or a combination of these, all records and patents, etc., of all dismantled government divisions and subdivisions, etc., are now the property of the people and in the care of Lafkey. Assimilated, these departments also have faults to varying degrees. All in all, they are dismantled, but whose general functions could be said to continue under the action of one of the four limbs of the individualistic society. Note, any subdivision that is not listed is to be assumed that it was rendered obsolete by the functions of the four offices of the individualistic populace and subsequently dissolved. Quote, whether it is nobler in the minds of men to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and thus, by opposing, end them. End quote. William Shakespeare. Chapter 1. The Greater Eye of the Populace, the GEP. Quote, we, the people, are the rightful masters of both the Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who have perverted it. End quote. Abraham Lincoln. The operation and affairs of the present-day government have drifted too far from the control, understanding, and awareness of the people. The greater eye of the populace, representing the collective active will of the people, is created to reverse these effects by regularly informing the people of every action of the, ideally, four government departments. To perform this duty, it acts as the eyes and ears of the populace, gathering detailed information from every place to which it is directed. The information it provides allows the people to wisely choose where to direct their collective energy. It then gathers their views, concerns, and votes and presents them to the proper department. In the individualistic system, that department would then take immediate action upon that end command. However, until that true system is realized, the present world government is too often opposed to the people's will. Therefore, the GEP immediately reports the government's reaction to these presented concerns to the people so that they can see exactly to what degree the government is acting contrary to their will, thus allowing the people to take action, assisted the entire way by the GEP. All of this is accomplished by a monthly document mailed to each adult citizen entitled The Populus Informer. A. Structure and duties of the GEP. Number 1. The Populus Informer. Modern reporting agencies are limited and passive in their approach to informing the public of the activities of their government. The GEP will be very active, ensuring the monthly delivery of the Populus Informer. The Populus Informer is a document compiled by the GEP and mailed out once a month, either as a digital email or a hard copy. It contains a detailed report on each of the four branches of government. The local GEP is responsible for its final distribution, being that they must combine the federal and state reports with their local report into one final document. This final document gives a detailed account on 1. Each branch's current activities as directed by the previous populist consensus, 2. Their individual items up for consensus. Items are ideas produced by the populace. 3. The pros and cons of projects and systems initiated. And 4. Any other important or specifically requested information. Any issues of lesser significance are not placed into the Informer simply because of space limitations. They are cataloged and archived each month at Lafkey as the Extended Informer for the inquiring citizen and remain active issues. The Populus Informer furthermore includes a form, the consensus form, which is a mandatory reply. It commands a reply on each of the four branches, the GEP, HVR, Lafkey, and PHMC. The reply should include opinions, ideas, comments, suggestions, concerns, etc. The minimum reply is 1,200 words. The maximum is 3,600 words, distributed in any way amongst the four departments and their three levels, local, state, and federal. Therefore, if one comments equally on all, one would have a small 300-word reply for each. Else one could spend all 3,600 words on just one level of one branch. Either way, one is expected to make some significant comment on something. The Populus Informers are written completely opinion neutral. They are detailed, yet clear, and rapidly readable with no wasted words. The estimated reading time is one average 8-hour working day, 40 minutes per section. The estimated time for response writing is also a maximum of 8 hours. Therefore, for 1 day per month, the entire adult population reads and responds to the Populus Informer for less than 16 hours. They must do this within 3 days of receiving it and then send it to the address of their designated Populus consolidant. Each of these forms has a source number to identify the original writer. This information is not viewable until the following month, so that the entirety of the consensus remains anonymous. This allows the opinions of congressmen, scientists, doctors, and the common man an equal consideration, as those consolidating the consensus are also of random social class. This results in an authentic public opinion nearly impervious to corruption. Any suspected tainting can be pinpointed by following the source numbers available to the entire population after 1 month. Note, for those doubting the feasibility of this many hard copies, see page 83 for junk mail statistics.